You are smart. You are hardworking. You have good, valuable ideas that you know could make a real difference. You contribute in meetings. You offer your support to colleagues. You genuinely try to be a positive force in your professional and personal life. And yet, you feel a persistent, quiet frustration, a sense that your voice isn't carrying the weight it should. You speak, but the room doesn't quite lean in. You share an idea, and it is met with polite nods before vanishing into the ether. You feel like you are constantly pedaling a bicycle with a chain that keeps slipping a lot of effort, but very little forward momentum. Perhaps you've experienced this specific feeling. You are known as a reliable, helpful person. People like you. They will come to you for technical help or to get a task done, but they do not come to you for guidance. They do not seek out your opinion on important strategic decisions. You are seen as a valuable pair of hands, but not as an influential mind. You have a seat at the table, but you don't have a voice that shapes the direction of the conversation. You are present, but not truly powerful. Or maybe you felt this paradox. The more you try to assert your value, the more it seems to diminish. You push your point harder in a discussion, armed with facts and logic, only to feel the other person's energy retreat. You try to showcase your expertise to win respect, but it somehow comes across as arrogant. It feels as though there is an invisible barrier between you and the influence you seek, a pane of soundproof glass. You can see the impact you want to have, but your words seem unable to reach it. This gap between your true value and your perceived influence is not your fault in the way you might think. It is likely not due to a lack of intelligence, a poor work ethic, or even a lack of confidence. It is often the result of something far more subtle and far more insidious. It is the result of a few small, seemingly insignificant conversational habits that are quietly, consistently, and relentlessly sabotaging your influence from within. These habits are like tiny, slow, almost invisible leaks in a tire. You don't notice them on a short trip, but over the long journey of your career and your relationships, they will leave you completely flat. They are the invisible saboteurs of your potential. Think of it this way. Your ideas, your wisdom, and your good intentions are like pure, life-giving water. But the conversations you have are the well from which people must drink. If you are, without realizing it, unknowingly poisoning that well with negative conversational habits, it doesn't matter how pure the water is. People will be reluctant to drink. They may take a polite sip, but they will never drink deeply. They are not rejecting your water. They are reacting to the subtle poison you are serving along with it. Dale Carnegie was a master observer of these subtle poisons. He understood that a person's influence is a fragile ecosystem. It is rarely destroyed by a single, dramatic explosion. More often, it dies a slow death from the steady, quiet drip of negative communication patterns. He taught that what you don't do in a conversation is often far more important than what you do. He knew that one complaint could erase the goodwill built by 10 compliments, that one interruption could invalidate an hour of patient listening. This is the shift we must make today. We must stop focusing only on what to say and start examining the unconscious habits that are undermining everything we are trying to achieve. The problem is not your message. The problem is the static you are unknowingly broadcasting alongside it. People are not rejecting your ideas. They are instinctively recoiling from the negative feelings your conversational habits create. True influence is not just about having a valuable contribution. It is about creating a clean, safe, and positive channel through which that contribution can be received. Today, we will act as detectives. We will turn our attention inward and shine a bright, unforgiving light on our own communication pattern. We will identify the 3 most common, most destructive conversational habits that are draining your influence every single day. These are habits that many of us practice without even realizing it. Habits we may even believe are harmless. We will explore why they are so toxic, how to spot them in our own speech, and what powerful, positive habits to replace them with. And our investigation begins with the most common, most tempting, and most socially acceptable of all influence killers, the deceptively charming poison of the complaint. Let us begin with the most common, most tempting, and most socially acceptable of all influence killers, the habit of complaining. At first glance, complaining doesn't seem so bad. In fact, it can feel good, can't it? Venting our frustrations can feel like releasing a pressure valve. Complaining with colleagues about a difficult boss or a frustrating project can be a powerful bonding experience, creating a sense of shared struggle and camaraderie. We even sometimes disguise our complaints as a sign of high standards or keen analytical skills, believing that by pointing out what is wrong, we are demonstrating our intelligence. But this is a dangerous illusion. While a complaint might offer a fleeting moment of relief or a temporary sense of connection, it comes at a devastating long-term cost to your influence. Every time you complain, you are sending a powerful subconscious signal to everyone around you. You are signaling that you are a victim. Think about the fundamental nature of a complaint. A complaint is a statement that focuses on a problem without taking any ownership or proposing any solution. It is a declaration of powerlessness. The traffic is terrible. My boss is so demanding. This project is impossible. The person who complains places themselves at the mercy of external circumstances. They are defining themselves as someone to whom things happen, not someone who makes things happen. And influence, at its very core, is the opposite of victimhood. Influence is agency. It is the perceived ability to effect change, to solve problems, and to move a situation forward. People are not drawn to powerlessness. They are drawn to power, not the power of dominance, but the power of positive action. Furthermore, complaining is an emotional tax on your listener. It sucks the positive energy out of a room. It forces your conversation partner into the role of either a therapist or a fellow complainer. Over time, people learn to associate you with that draining, negative feeling. They may still be polite to you, but they will subconsciously start to avoid you. They will hesitate before inviting you to a meeting or asking for your opinion because they have been conditioned to expect a cloud of negativity. People are drawn to those who energize them, not those who deplete them. Now, it is crucial to distinguish between a destructive complaint and a constructive statement of a problem. A complaint is emotional, repetitive, and seeks validation or sympathy. It says, "This is awful, isn't it?" A statement of a problem is objective, specific, and seeks a solution. It says, "Here is the situation. How might we solve it?" A complainer dwells on the past. A problem solver builds for the future. Dale Carnegie understood this distinction perfectly. One of his foundational principles was, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. He saw it as utterly futile because it never creates lasting change. It only puts people on the defensive and wounds their pride. He taught that any fool can complain, and most fools do. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and solution-oriented. So how do we break this deeply ingrained habit? We do it with a two-part exercise, the complaint fast and the strategic pivot. First, the complaint fast. For the next 24 hours, I challenge you to go on a complaint fast. Your goal is to not utter a single complaint out loud. But more than that, try to catch the complaints that form in your own mind. The goal here is not perfection, it is awareness. You will be shocked to discover how often, throughout the day, your mind instinctively defaults to a complaining pattern. This awareness is the necessary first step to change. Second, once you become aware of the impulse to complain, you must perform the strategic pivot. The moment you catch yourself about to complain, you must ask yourself one powerful, transformative question. What is the one thing I have the power to do about this right now? This question is a neurological circuit breaker. It forcibly shifts your brain out of the passive, powerless victim mindset and into an active, resourceful, problem solver mindset. It moves your focus from the obstacle to the path forward. Let's see this in action. Imagine you are consistently frustrated because another department is late in sending you the data you need, which delays your own work. The old you, the complainer, would go to your manager and say, "I can't get my work done. The finance department is always late. They don't respect our deadlines. It's impossible to work like this." You have defined yourself as a victim. You have complained. Your manager now sees you as another problem they have to solve. The new you, the influencer, feels the same frustration. But as you walk to your manager's office, you catch the impulse to complain. You perform the strategic pivot. You ask yourself, what is the one thing I have the power to do about this right now? And you realize you have the power to propose a solution. You walk in and say, "I've been thinking about our workflow, and I have an idea that might help us become more efficient. I've noticed there's often a delay in receiving the data from finance, which then puts our team under a lot of pressure. What if I took the lead on creating a simple, shared calendar with them and scheduled a brief 10-minute check-in with our contact there every Tuesday? That way, we could anticipate any issues and ensure a smoother process for everyone." Look at the profound difference. In the first scenario, you are a source of problems. In the second, you are a source of solutions. You have transformed from a complainer into a leader. You have not just avoided losing influence, you have actively built it. So, the first act of subtraction is to eliminate the poison of complaint. By replacing it with the habit of proactive problem solving, You take the first giant leap toward becoming a person of true and lasting influence. But this is only the beginning. There is a second habit, one that is even more common, that many people mistake for a sign of intelligence and engagement, but is, in fact, a dagger to the heart of connection. This is the habit of interruption. Let us now examine the second invisible saboteur of your influence, the habit of interruption. This habit is particularly insidious because it often comes from a place of good intention. We rarely interrupt people to be malicious. We interrupt because we are excited, because we think we are being helpful, or because we believe we are making the conversation more efficient. There is the helpful interruption, where we think we know what the other person is going to say. So we jump in to finish their sentence for them, believing this shows we are on the same page and fully engaged. There is the excited interruption, where their idea sparks a related thought in our own mind, and we eagerly cut in to share our brilliant addition before we lose it, believing we are contributing to a creative brainstorm. And there is the efficient interruption, where we hear the other person make a small factual error, and we quickly correct them, believing we are being helpful by steering the conversation back to the truth. But regardless of the positive intention behind it, every act of interruption sends one single, devastating subconscious message to the person you are speaking with. That message is, what I have to say is more important than what you are currently saying. It is a subtle, yet profound act of conversational dominance. Each time you interrupt, you are, in essence, grabbing the microphone out of their hand. You are telling them that their thoughts, in their complete, unabridged form, are not worthy of the time it would take to express them. You are devaluing their contribution in real time. Think about the psychological effect this has on the other person. It creates anxiety. It trains them to rush when they speak to you, to try and get their full thought out before you inevitably cut them off. It makes conversation feel not like a safe and open exchange, but like a competitive sport where they have to fight for airtime. Over time, people will simply stop trying. They will stop bringing you their best, most nuanced ideas, because they learn from experience that those ideas will never be given the space to fully breathe in your presence. They will only ever share their surface-level thoughts with you. You will have successfully created an environment of efficient but shallow communication. Dale Carnegie's entire philosophy was built on the foundation of making the other person feel important. Interrupting is the most direct and common way we make people feel unimportant. He taught that being a good conversationalist has very little to do with how well you talk and everything to do with how well you listen. He famously said, to be interesting, be interested. An interrupter, by their very nature, is fundamentally interested in their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own moment to speak. They are waiting for their turn, not truly listening to understand. So how do we unlearn this deeply ingrained habit, especially when we often don't even realize we're doing it? We need a simple, clear, and non-negotiable rule. I call it the rule of the full stop. Your new practice is this. You're not allowed to begin speaking until the other person has not only finished their sentence, but has come to a full, complete stop, indicated by the natural pause and drop-in intonation that signals the end of a thought. But we will add one more layer to this rule to make it even more powerful. After they have come to a full stop, you must wait one additional silent beat before you begin to speak. Just a single, silent second. This 1 second buffer is revolutionary. It proves to the other person and to yourself that you are not just waiting for the first tiny gap to jump into. It proves you are truly absorbing what they said. That 1 second of silence is a profound sign of respect. It conveys more attentiveness and consideration than 1,000 words of agreement. Let's see this in a real-world scenario. A young, passionate employee comes into his manager's office with an idea. The employee. So I was thinking about our client retention strategy, and I believe the reason we're losing some clients isn't because of our product, but because our onboarding process is a bit, the interrupting manager, believing he's being helpful, confusing. Yes, I know, it's too complicated. Okay, good point. I'll have someone look into simplifying it. The manager thinks this was an efficient and collaborative exchange. But what really happened? The employee is left feeling deflated. His real idea was not just that it was confusing, but that it lacked a personal touch. He had a whole plan for a new relationship-based onboarding system, but he was never given the chance to articulate it. He will think twice before bringing his next creative idea to this manager. Now, let's replay that scene with the influential manager who practices the rule of the full stop, the employee. So I was thinking about our client retention strategy, And I believe the reason we're losing some clients isn't because of our product, but because our onboarding process is a bit, he pauses, searching for the right word. The influential manager says nothing, waits through the pause, maintaining eye contact. He gives him the extra beat of silence. The employee feeling the safety of the silence. Impersonal. It's efficient, but it doesn't make them feel welcome. I was thinking, what if we assigned each new client a dedicated welcome specialist for their first week? Now, the manager has the real, far more valuable idea. He can now have a truly productive conversation, all because he had the discipline to wait for the full stop and then some. This is your second act of subtraction. You must mercilessly eliminate the habit of interruption from your conversational repertoire. Replace it with the powerful, respectful practice of waiting for the full stop. You will not only gain access to better, more complete ideas from others, but you will earn a reputation as a person of wisdom and poesia person to whom others feel truly safe to reveal their best thinking. You have now learned to stop poisoning conversations with complaints and to stop hijacking them with interruptions. But there is one final habit, a saboteur so subtle and so disguised as a virtue that it may be the hardest of all to eradicate. It is the habit of being the answer man, the constant teacher, the one who always needs to be right. This is the well-intentioned but deadly habit of being preachy. Let us now turn our attention to the final invisible saboteur of your influence. It is the habit of the unsolicited advice giver, the constant teacher, the one who always has the right answer. It is the well-intentioned, but ultimately corrosive, habit of preaching. This is perhaps the most difficult habit to spot in ourselves, because it often stems from a genuine desire to help. We are smart, we have experience, we have knowledge. And when we see someone we care about struggling, a colleague stuck on a problem, a friend in a difficult relationship, a child facing a challenge, our immediate, powerful impulse is to fix it for them. We want to spare them the pain of making a mistake, so we rush in with our wisdom. We lay out the perfect solution. We give them a step-by-step plan. We tell them exactly what they should do. We believe we are offering a gift. But what the other person often experiences is a subtle yet powerful act of disrespect. To understand why, we must look at the subconscious message that unsolicited advice sends. When you offer a solution to someone who has not asked for it, you are implicitly communicating a series of disempowering messages. You are not capable of figuring this out on your own. My judgment and experience are superior to yours. Your process of learning and discovery is not as important as my need to provide the answer. You may be trying to solve their problem, but what you are actually doing is highlighting their perceived incompetence. You are robbing them of their autonomy. And as we've learned, the human spirit instinctively resists being controlled or made to feel small. This is why the most brilliant advice, when offered without invitation, is so often met with defensiveness, a polite but firm, "You don't understand," or worse, a resentful compliance that lacks any real conviction. Dale Carnegie knew that one of the deepest cravings of human nature is the feeling of importance. The preachy habit, the need to always be the teacher, directly starves this craving in others. It makes us the hero of the story and casts them in the role of the helpless student. This is the polar opposite of the Carnegie philosophy, which teaches us to let the other person feel the idea is his or hers. A true influencer understands that an answer discovered by the person themselves is 1,000 times more valuable and more likely to be acted upon than an answer given to them by someone else. They know that their role is not to be a dispenser of truths, but a facilitator of insight. So, how do we break this virtuous seeming but destructive habit? How do we share our wisdom without disempowering others? We adopt a simple, profoundly respectful protocol. I call it the permission first protocol. The rule is this: before you offer any piece of advice, any suggestion, or any potential solution, you must first ask for permission to do so. This is a game changer. Asking for permission performs a crucial psychological function. It takes the power from your hands and places it directly into theirs. It honors their autonomy. It respects their intelligence. It gives them control over the conversation. You are shifting from a push dynamic, pushing your advice onto them, to a pull dynamic, allowing them to pull the advice from you if they so choose. You can use simple, humble phrases to ask for permission for a friend who is venting about a problem. That sounds incredibly tough. I'm happy to just listen if that's what you need right now. I also have a thought or two from a similar experience I had, but no pressure at all. Would you be open to hearing them? For a colleague who is struggling, I can see how challenging this situation is. I have an idea that might be helpful. Would you be interested in brainstorming about it for a few minutes? For a family member, I have a perspective on this that might be different. Are you in a space where you'd be open to hearing it? Now, one of two things will happen. They might say, you know what? Thanks, but I think I just need to vent right now. In this case, you have given them a beautiful gift, a safe space to be heard without judgment. Your relationship has been strengthened, or, more often than not, they will say, yes, please, I'd love to hear what you think. And now, a miracle occurs. The very same advice that would have been met with resistance is now welcomed with open arms. Why? Because it is no longer your intrusion. It is their invitation. Their mind is now open, receptive, and eager to hear what you have to say. You have transformed yourself from a preachy know-it-all into a valued and trusted advisor. Let's see this in a final scenario. Your friend is complaining about their boss. The old you, the preacher, immediately jumps in. You know what you should do. You need to document everything. Then you should go to HR. And you should also start looking for a new job. You are trying to fix everything. Your friend gets quiet and defensive. They didn't want a project plan. They wanted a friend. The new you, the influencer, listens patiently until they are finished. You let them vent, avoiding habit, 2. You don't complain with them, avoiding habit, 1. Then you validate their feelings. Wow, that sounds incredibly stressful and unfair. I'm so sorry you have to deal with that. Then you apply the permission first protocol. Are you looking for advice right now, or do you just need me to listen? I am completely here for either one. Your friend now feels completely in control. They might say, thank you. I think I just needed to get it off my chest. Or they might say, actually, yeah, what do you think I should do? Only now, upon their explicit invitation, do you share your wisdom. Your influence has never been stronger. So, we have now unmasked the 3 invisible saboteurs of influence: the poison of complaint, the dagger of interruption, and the well-intentioned trap of unsolicited advice. By learning to subtract these habits, you have cleared the conversational space. You have removed the static. In our final section, we will bring it all together and discover the new, powerful conversational posture that will naturally emerge in their place, transforming you into a person of quiet, effortless, and authentic influence. Let us now step back and survey the space we have created. We have done the hard work of subtraction. We have removed the corrosive poison of complaint, which signals powerlessness. We have eliminated the disrespectful dagger of interruption, which screams ego. And we have disarmed the well-intentioned but disempowering trap of unsolicited advice, which projects superiority. By removing these 3 invisible saboteurs, you have cleared the channel. You have removed the static. And into that new, quiet, clean space, a new conversational posture can naturally emerge. I call this posture the humble host. Imagine every conversation is a room, and you are the host. A bad host dominates the room. They talk only about themselves and their interests. They interrupt their guests to make their own points. They lecture their guests on how they should live. A guest in such a room feels drained, disrespected, and eager to leave. But a great host, a humble host, does the exact opposite. Their entire focus is on their guest. They create an environment of warmth, safety, and respect. They ensure their guest feels welcome, valued, and important. They don't try to be the most interesting person in the room. They strive to be the most interested. As a result, guests never want to leave their presence. They feel seen, heard, and elevated. This is the transformation that occurs when you subtract the 3 toxic habits. In place of complaining, you begin to project agency. You are no longer a victim of your circumstances, but a thoughtful architect of solutions. You become a source of positive, forward-moving energy. In place of interrupting, you begin to offer the profound gift of your presence. You listen with an intensity and stillness that is rare and magnetic. You make people feel that, in that moment, they are the most important person in the world to you. In place of preaching, you begin to offer empowerment. You stop providing easy answers and start asking powerful questions. You see your role not as a fixer of problems, but as a facilitator of wisdom in others. When you adopt the posture of the humble host, a remarkable reversal happens. The less you try to prove your own value, the more valuable you become to others. The less you talk about your own ideas, the more people seek out your opinion. The less you try to control the conversation, the more you naturally guide its direction. Your influence becomes effortless, not because you have stopped caring, but because you have started caring about the right things about the other person's growth, their feelings, their sense of importance. This is the ultimate secret that Dale Carnegie taught. Influence is not something you project onto others. It is a quality that is reflected back at you from the people whose lives you have enriched. It is the natural consequence of a character built on a foundation of humility, respect, and a genuine desire to serve. The journey to becoming influential, then, is not about adding more clever techniques or persuasive tricks to your repertoire. It is a journey of subtraction. It is about having the courage to strip away the ego-driven habits of complaining, interrupting, and preaching so that your authentic, respectful, and powerful self can finally emerge. So, in the end, we realize that true influence is not found in the strength of your arguments, but in the safety of the space you create. It is not achieved by having the most to say, but by becoming the person to whom everyone wants to speak. It is not an act of self-promotion, but an act of generous service to the potential that lies dormant in every person you meet. If this philosophy of becoming a humble host in your conversations resonates with you, if you are ready to begin the rewarding work of subtracting these toxic habits to let your true influence shine, then let this be your moment of commitment. Like this video as a personal promiser. Promise to choose curiosity over criticism, presence over interruption, and empowerment over preaching. Then, go to the comments below and share which of the three habits, complaining, interrupting, or preaching, you recognize most in your own life and will commit to working on first. Your honesty will create a powerful space of accountability for our entire community. And finally, if you are committed to this journey of mastering the deep arts of human connection, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Dale Carnegie Impact. We are here each week to explore the timeless principles that transform your communication and, in turn, transform your life. Thank you for being here. Now go and host your next conversation with grace.